So for the past 3 years, I've been running electric fans on my Durango. I actually bought a brand new Dodge Caravan fan and tilted it sideways to fit on my radiator. Well, in the heat of the summer, I noticed that it does still struggle, and yeah, I thought I'd figure out an upgrade with this Lincoln LS fan that my brother found at the junkyard for 30 bucks. It's actually a very rare find, and we ended up finding two of them since he has a Durango as well, and he's already got his modified and mounts put on it to fit on the Dodge Durango radiator. And this is his old radiator, and we've been using it to fit up these fans, and this is going to be my fan. So I'm going to go through the modification process required to fit this fan on here. As you can see, I've actually already started cutting on it in these areas. Yeah, I know, $300 used, $1,200 brand new for some models. Not something you want to cut up if it's brand new. But it was a $30 fan for me, so it's not too big of a loss, and it works. It's three-phase that I know of. It's a brushless fan. I don't know if it's three-phase, but it's definitely brushless, and it's got the controller and everything built into the motor. All I got to do is send a pulse width modulation signal directly into the input there, along with an ignition signal and power. And this fan at full power is rated at 43 amps of current. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the signal, the pulse width modulation signal, is actually I looked it up online, and it's 125 hertz. 25% duty cycle is off, 75% duty cycle is full on. And my battery's about to go kaput, so I'm gonna have to cut this video right here. Here's the controller I'll be using. This controller has the neat option of being able to basically select your voltage of your signal output by powering the chip, the driver MOSFET IGBT driver chip right here with a different voltage, which I have broken out on this header right here. And its output goes to one of these pins. It has a relay output for you to have a cutoff relay for your ignition, but I don't have a header connected to that because I'm not going to need it with this controller. This controller is going to be my brother's. I already have one of mine, and it just takes ignition, air conditioner input, and then you have an adjusting potentiometer right here. And somewhere or another I posted the code online, but I'm going to see if I can post it in a few other places to see if if anybody else wants to use it. Once again, for this fan, the driving signal for the PWM signal is 125 hertz, and the 25% duty cycle is off, 75% duty cycle is full on. If you drive it lower than a 25% duty cycle, the fan will actually go to full on, and due to a fail-safe mode that it has. So if you don't have any signal at all going into it, the fan will soft start itself and just run up to full power as a fail-safe, which is kind of neat. So if something happens to your controller and it's not sending out a signal or something's wrong, the fan will just go full power if you just disconnect the controller itself and just have power and ignition hooked up to the fan. One of the big problems with the Durango's cooling system setup in the front end is that it's just so compacted, and yet there's really not any room for anything at all. And this fan, without hardly modifying it, will fit in there, but the motor and the front directing fins here tend to rub up against the water pump just slightly. So what we found is, if we cut against this lip, and there's a line that goes all the way around, if you cut that off and fit that flush against the radiator, the fan fits in there snugly, but there's still plenty of room for the fan blades, and there's about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch between the water pump and the fan itself. So if anybody else wants to use this fan, make note of that. And I'll be going through this video and showing the different processes of making the various shroud modifications out of sheet aluminum and mounting using angle aluminum. C-channel aluminum is what I'm trying to think of. I couldn't think of the name. And you can get that at Home Depot or Ace Hardware for real cheap. I mean, I got an 8-foot length C-channel for $10. It's not expensive. Alright, after a little more trimming, I'm going to trim that edge all the way around off. And I got to trim that up a little bit to make that flush with the radiator. Oh, I love sawzalls. Also got to shroud this end up a bit here because that's going to let in there. But that's not difficult. I can just use some angle aluminum on that and then use the C-channel aluminum for the mounting. And I got some plate aluminum I can use to make the shroud there. And I've got a brake. One of those cheapo $30 Harbor Freight brakes. I can use that to make the shroud. It's coming together nicely. Alright, so I got my piece of aluminum cut now, the sawzall, and I just need to hammer out that edge and start brake pressing it. I have a feeling this is going to be really loud hammering on this thing. Okay, maybe it's not that bad. I'm not going to worry about this wavy edge here too much because that's all going to be folded over anyways. And I really don't need to fold it over that much. And then that there, it's going to be folded down or up, whichever way I need to go. And that's what's going to attach to the fan. So what you do is you take your aluminum, put it in your brake press, you put your piece of steel over it, clamp it down, and you bend it over. Fold it over very much. Just these C-clamps aren't big enough either, but this is all I've got right now. This is all I can find in the garage. Everything else is going missing. So, to assist the C-clamps, I'll just have to stand on it a little bit. I gotta stand on it anyways because you're supposed to have these mounted down to a workbench. Bend. That makes the aluminum a lot more rigid as well. Lower some. It's a shame I can't fold it completely over with the press. Just have to use a combination of pliers and patience. Fingers. As long as I don't cut myself. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut into this corner here on this side and on the other side, and then I'm going to fold this edge in here like that. I'm going to use a brake press and fold that in there, the necessary lengths, so that it'll fit on the radiator, and that'll also help add rigidity. It's coming out pretty well. I mean, I kind of got that a little bit off there, but it didn't have to be perfect. This is just going to sit over the radiator, and it's not going to add any structural support. It's just there for airflow. Feels a lot better now. It's much more rigid. Okay, so now I got the new shroud riveted to the fan. These are just to hold it for now. I'm actually going to do a few more rivets here and there, and I also still need to cut out a few places, probably from here all the way down to here, to allow for the airflow to go through. And then I'll just bend the aluminum out and break the plastic the rest of the way off. It'll come right off. Let's see how it fits. It looks nice. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Very nice. I'm probably not going to worry about shrouding that off. It's not that much airflow. Not a whole lot to affect it. Yeah, looks good. Alright, it's the next day now. I'm ready to put my other radiator fan on. So see, that one's just shrouded off the duct tape. It's only held on by one zip tie. So since I've been driving around and this thing's hot, I don't want to be working on it while it's hot, especially when it's already at least 95 out here. It just rained a minute ago. It's cooled down just a tiny bit. But I'm going to go ahead and turn these fans on with the battery charger on the battery there. And to do that, I'm just going to turn the ignition on and disconnect the air conditioning signal from the fan controller since it's active low. And that should kick the fans on low speed for now. That should at least get the heat off the radiator. And one thing a lot of people don't seem to think about is if the radiator cools and the motor is hot, you're still going to have some coolant move through the system through convection currents. So you're going to have hot coolant coming out the front here, and that's going to flow through the radiator, get cooled off, and then go down to the lower radiator hose and come in the bottom of the motor. It's just kind of a neat thing to think about. Charger here to 20 amps. And just let that sit for half an hour or so. Won't hurt it. I love electric fans so much. All that in there is going bye-bye. No need for high current MOSFETs anymore with that other fan. It looks scary, but it's all pretty solid in there. That wire doesn't move around. I've already got my ground and power set up, and the signal. So all I got to do is remove all this junk, split off my power and my signaling to my new fan, and bring out another ignition signal. I might not even have to do that. Well, it's cooled off now. I've already started cutting some of the old zip ties. And of course it's going to start raining. So I'm going to do as much of it as I can. I'm going to remove it all and then I'll cut to the next section of video. Alright, the old fans are removed. The old controller is removed. Or the old driver MOSFETs. And there's actually quite a bit of room in here. Until you get the fan in there, that is. But even with the fan in there, you should be able to change the belt without taking anything out. And that's the biggest thing right there. Along with not hitting into a water pump here. The old tensioner's still good. I can move it. That was a junkyard tensioner. Repacked the bearing in the pulley on it and on the pulley on this one a couple years ago, and they haven't made any noise since. Still a little bit loose, but well, not really actually. Yeah, they've been working real good. It's just the bearings get dry, and the only grease I had at the time was water resistant boat trailer bearing grease or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. I just know it was supposed to be like waterproof or something. It's actually worked really well. So I'll start fitting the new fan in here. Oh, almost forgot. That's my temperature probe. That has actually worked a lot better than what I expected it would. It's got a little bit of a delay to it from the engine temperature, but it's good enough so the fan's not sitting there going up and down, up and down, up and down. So I just got to cut a little bit of room in that on the new fan. We'll do a size comparison with the different fans in just a minute. Old fan, new fan, old fan, new fan in the radiator. Actually pretty good size difference there. The new fan's got a much larger fan area, while the old fan's just got a bigger shroud, or wider shroud, that is. Alright, so far so good. I got most of the wiring done. I just got to solder a few more things and then test it out. Definitely cleaned up this area a lot more. Well, you can't see that very much. It's dark outside. And I'll be testing it the rest of this week. No more front fan. It's got 2 fuses on there. I plan on using 2 30-amp fuses to even the load off between the fuse holders. Otherwise, fuse holders will overheat at 43 amps. Right now, it's just got a 20-amp and a 30-amp fuse in it, which will work for now. So later on, I want to put 2 30-amps so it evens it out more. Of course, when I go to hook everything back up together, damn positive connection falls apart on me. There's supposed to be 2 little nuts inside there, but they just fell out when I went to tighten it down. Maybe it's a bad omen. Maybe I should check something before I hook it all up. I'll go over it again anyways. Alright, so everything's hooked up. I don't have anything tied down yet, but I have it tied down enough so that the fan will run. Right now, the fan blades aren't running because the engine hasn't gotten up to its operating temperature just yet. But it'll be getting there shortly, so you should be able to see it. It's getting there. It's about to get there. Yep. So it's working. Very nice. That is a Lincoln LS fan on a 1999 Dodge Durango. Actually, it's a 2003 Lincoln LS fan. For those of you who want to experiment with these fans, the PWM signal is 125 hertz. 25% is all the way off. 75% duty cycle is all the way on, and everything in between. And the signal is just 5 volts. I believe it's the yellow-black wire is the signal wire, and the green-yellow wire, excuse me, the white-black wire is the signal wire, and the green-yellow wire is the ignition wire. So you don't need a relay with this. You just hook up power, green ignition, and then put your signal in, and you can control the speed of this fan. It's very convenient. Right now, oh yeah, we're pulling lots of air. The fan's barely on, and you can feel a lot of air blowing through it. You can start to hear it. Yeah. It's just... the fan just barely spins, and it blows a lot of air. It's also very efficient because it's a 3-phase, probably 3-phase, but it's definitely a brushless motor. Anyways, this camera battery's gone dead on me, so yeah, hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.